Hello, I'm Barbara Leland, and I'm a certified holistic health coach in Huntington Beach, and I do the healthy eating classes here at Hoag Cancer Center. And last week we talked about eating healthy, eating clean in a tempting world, and we talked about how to avoid the things that we don't want in our diet. Today, we're going to see how we can put that into practice by making something delicious and still very nutritious and healthy. So, what we're going to do, in the past, I've showed you the ingredients, and I say, "Can you see this? Can you see this?" And you're all like, "No, I can't see that." So this time, I put it on the PowerPoint. Okay, so here are our ingredients. If you have registered for this seminar, you'll be receiving the recipe. If you haven't already received it, you'll be receiving the recipe by your email. Also, about an hour after the seminar is over, it will be posted to the YouTube link, so you can come back and get the recipe there. And also, I will be putting it on my website. So a bunch of places you can get it, and if you still don't get it, just email me, okay? So here are the ingredients, not the quantities, but the ingredients we're going to be using. And you can remember, you can always come back to this YouTube, okay? So cashews, oats, coconut, salt, dates, vanilla, coconut oil, strawberries, and coconut sugar. Nothing artificial, nothing that's going to harm you, nothing that is chemical. It's all good. So here we go. So let's talk about the cashews that we're going to be using. And the ones I'm using today are from Sprouts. They're the organic raw cashews. And it's important to buy cashews organic because, or any nuts actually, because they have a very high pesticide load. So you really want to make sure your nuts are organic. And also when they're raw, well, for one thing, if they weren't raw, they wouldn't work for this recipe because they have to absorb the water. But also when they're raw, you're getting the nutrients that are in the nuts. Those nutrients are destroyed in the roasting process. So you want to get raw when you can, and once in a while you want to have a roasted nut for a treat, that's okay, but for your health benefits you want raw. And remember that most of the nuts that we buy in the store, even though they say raw, they're not truly raw because they have been pasteurized, but you're still going to get more nutrients in those nuts than you would in the roasted nuts, okay? Organic oats. These I buy in bulk. You can buy them at Sprouts also in bulk. And it used to be you could scoop them out, but now they have them all packaged for you. So it's not really bulk. But anyway, you get the organic oats. They're not. What happens with oats or other grains is that it's difficult to get the grain to dry evenly after harvesting. Before harvesting, so they need to be dried so they can harvest them. So what they do is they use glyphosate, which is the main ingredient in Roundup, and they kill the crop with glyphosate, and that's 1 to 2 weeks before the harvest, and that accelerates the drying process. So we know we don't want that, so make sure that when you're buying your oats and other grains, you go organic. Coconut products are not necessarily, they don't have a high pesticide load. They don't need a lot of pesticide, first of all, because of the protection of the coconut shell. So they don't use a lot of pesticide, and also they don't hold a lot of pesticides. So coconut products, when they test them for pesticides, they don't show traces. So whether you're having it, like today, we're going to have this shredded coconut, organic coconut, shredded. It's unsweetened, and I get that at Sprouts. The next item there is the coconut oil, organic virgin coconut oil. I get that at Trader Joe's, although they have it at Sprouts as well. I find the prices better at Trader Joe's. And then I use the Trader Joe's organic coconut sugar. So even though we don't need to have organic with the coconuts because of the pesticide load is low, but what you're doing when you buy organic is, even if it's okay for your body, it's not good for the world to have pesticides, and it's not good for the workers who are exposed to that. So just feel good about what you're doing for the world and the workers when you buy organic. And then the dates we're using are the organic medjool dates, and they're pitted. I get them at Trader Joe's, and they are not they're not dried, so there's no chemicals to dry them. They're a fresh fruit, so you're getting all the enzymes from the fruit. You're not having anything added to it to be detrimental. They taste caramely, and they have a real soft, chewy texture. And usually when you're using dates in a recipe, especially in like raw recipes, they're going to be calling for medjool dates, and they're sweeter and softer than the other dates. The other dates work too, but these really work the best. And I said, right, I get these at Trader Joe's. And then this is the vanilla that I'm using, and I get that at Trader Joe's as well. And again, I am not plugging Trader Joe's. It just so happens that they have a lot of great products. So it's pure bourbon vanilla extract, and I think some time ago one of the questions was, why do I use the bourbon extract? And I said because it's delicious. And it is delicious, but this is pure bourbon extract, and when it says pure, it's made only from the natural vanilla beans, water and alcohol for the extract. You have to use alcohol or vegetable glycerin, but it's the flavor is much better when they use alcohol to do it. When you get imitation vanilla extract, they're artificially made. They come from a lab, and you may also see vanillin on the label of imitation vanilla. I wouldn't use that. I wouldn't recommend that. And by the way, the term bourbon doesn't refer to the alcohol they're using to extract it, but it refers to where it's coming from. And this is from the Bourbon Islands, and most commonly Madagascar. So there's no bourbon in this vanilla. Too bad. Okay. Then we're using organic strawberries. You can get those anywhere. They're just starting to be good this year. They're still a little tart, and you're getting some still white areas in the strawberries, but they're just starting to get good. Last year, I think it took until June before they really got sweet. And they are the #1 offender on the Dirty Dozen from EWG.org. If you remember me talking about that last week, Environmental Working Group. They give you a nice listing of the Dirty Dozen, the top 12, and I put 13 last week, of things that you really want to make sure are organic. And strawberries have been #1 on the list for years. So do make sure your strawberries are always organic or pesticide-free. And we did talk last week about going to the farmer's market, and you can talk to the farmers, make sure they're pesticide-free, yada, yada, yada. Okay? Just make sure there's no pesticides in your strawberries. Now, we're not doing this today, and the reason is because Trader Joe's has not had coconut cream for a long time, for weeks. But this is an optional topping, but I did want to talk about it just because I wanted you to understand, and we talked last week about the lining on the cans for the coconut, well, cans, we just talked about cans. Well, this one, the coconut cream, this can does not include, first of all, it doesn't include any BHA and BHT, which they use to prevent fat from turning rancid. And like we said last week, it's associated with increased cancer risk. And also the lining does not include any BPA. So you want to make sure that your lining, your can, typically will say does not contain BPA. This can does not say it. However, I'm going to show you something in the next slide. Excuse me. In the next slide, that is just one of the great reasons why I shop at Trader Joe's. Also, there's no carrageenan or other thickeners. I'm sorry to say Sprouts has a nice organic coconut cream, but it has, I believe it's guar gum in it. Guar gum is not necessarily bad for you, but it's just another additive that I'd rather not have. I haven't seen carrageenan in coconut cream, but you will find it in other dairy products, in actual dairy, or you might find it in some non-dairy ice creams and things like that. It makes it more unctuous, it makes it more creamy, and you don't want carrageenan because it's highly inflammatory and it's toxic for your digestive tract. Okay, so we don't have the coconut cream today, and I tried doing the trick where you separate the coconut cream from the coconut milk, and I failed. So we're not doing it. But this is what you would use if you were going to use it. But this is what I wanted to share with you about Trader Joe's. I didn't even know this existed. I Googled BPA Trader Joe's or something like that. And I got this from their website, which is just great that they have this information for us. So they tell you right on their website that all of these items don't contain BPA. So their coconut milk and coconut cream, all of them have no BPA. So I would suggest you print out this or just take a look at the Trader Joe's website and you'll know, because you want to stay away from the ones with BPA, like their canned artichokes or their dolmas or eggplant with tomatoes and onions, hatch chilies, all those things. The canned soups and stews, except for the organic vegetarian's chili. So all those things have BPA in the lining of the cans. And they did say that the metal lids of the glass jars do have a layer of BPA coating, but there's another material put on top of that, and then the BPA is never in direct contact with the food. And so there's no BPA detected in it. Remember last week I talked about, one of the questions was, should I throw away my Tupperware containers? Because we talked about the BPA in the plastic, and I said if you're using Tupperware, make sure it's wrapped in parchment paper or something else that's going to be not detrimental, and so that the food is not coming in contact with the plastic. And so let's go on, and I think we are going to go ahead. And so this pie that's all natural, there's no additives, no preservatives, no artificial colors, flavors, sweeteners, no BHA, BHT, BPA, and bonus, it's vegan, it's GMO free, there's no gluten, and it's, by the way, also it's raw. So I didn't put that there, but it's also raw. So you're getting all the enzymes from the raw products, and it's 100% delicious. So now we're going to go ahead and get to the recipe and the making of the pie. So, okay. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to not grease the pie pan with coconut oil, and we're going to not use a 9-inch pie plate. So the reason that we're not greasing it is because I found that you don't really need to. But also, the reason we're using not a 9-inch pie plate in this really pretty little plate is because I wanted to make sure that I was going to be able to fit everything in this container. So I cut the recipe down a little bit, and so that's why we're using a smaller plate. Okay, so forget the greasing. We're going to place the cashews in. These are the dry cashews. These are not the soaked cashews. We'll come to the soaked cashews later. You need to make sure you've soaked your cashews overnight for that ingredient, but these are dry. You don't soak these. So you're going to put the cashews, we're going to put all these ingredients in the food processor. And the oats, and I put the salt in here as well. And these are the organic oats that we talked about. And then we're going to add in the coconut. And remember, I got that at Sprouts. And this is the shredded coconut. And then we're going to put in the dates. And these are the medjool dates that we were saying. Medjool dates. And I really should be wearing my gloves, even though this pie is not for you. It's from me, but I should wear my gloves anyway. And then, oops, I'm sorry. Before we put the dates in, we're going to, I've done this over and over again, that I put the dates before I'm supposed to. We're going to make a little crumble of these dry ingredients. Okay, so put it in your food processor. And you're going to, what you want to do is get this to a point where it's going to be kind of mealy. You don't want it to be a flour so much, but you want it to be kind of mealy. And I will show you what I mean. We're almost there. So this is what it looks like. So you've ground up the oats, and it's a little powdery and a little chunky, but it's just enough for your dates to go in. Then you're going to throw your dates in. And you're going to blend that until, not blend it, but process that until the dates are broken up. And that's pretty good. I might do it just a little bit more, but if you can see that the dates are mixed in and they're kind of broken up, I don't know if you can see that or not. You're probably saying, no, I can't. But make sure your dates are, blended in and kind of broken up. Then I'm going to put the lid back on, and I'm going to put it on low. And I'm going to add the vanilla and this is the vanilla and the water into the mix here, but I'm going to do it just like half at a time. Like in the recipe it says 1 tablespoon at a time. And if you forget and you pour it all in at one time, don't worry about it, because I've done that too. And it still worked. And what we're looking for now is we want it to clump up, kind of like a cookie, like an oatmeal cookie dough. So now I'm going to pulse it. Okay. So, funny story, I dropped everything in the parking lot when I was coming in, and my vanilla and water leaked a little bit, so I had to add a little bit more water to it. So hopefully it was the right amount, but it looks good. Looks good. So it's clumpy, you see that? And it's going to stick together. So now we're going to press it into the pie pan. This pretty little pie dish, which was my mother's, actually. It's probably, I don't know, who knows how old. So you take it like that. See how it's clumped? And you're going to press it into the pie dish. And I'm seeing that I could have actually processed this a little bit more for the dates, but that's okay, because when you get that bite with a bigger bite of dates, it's going to be delicious. The other bites will be delicious too, but that'll be even more so. So you're flattening it down. Just flatten it till and you want to come up the sides. And this recipe is really versatile because, as you're going to see in a little while after we're done here, you can take, at this point, you can take this crumble stuff and put it in the oven. You can put it, if you have a dehydrator in your toaster oven function, I have one on mine, you can dehydrate this and keep it raw. Or if you don't have a dehydrator, you can just bake it at a low heat. Be careful because I burnt the first batch I made. I had it at 350 and I went upstairs to do something else and forgot about it. So I burnt it. But what it does is that it just becomes like a crumble, like a granola kind of, with just dates and cashews and what else? Coconut, salt. I mean, I think if I was making it into a real granola, I would maybe put a little bit more coconut, and I would also put some seeds like flax seeds, and I would put millet and things like that, maybe some sunflower seeds. Not grind up the sunflower seeds, leave those all whole and just mix it in afterwards, and then bake it at a low heat. So my second batch, which I did do this last night, I baked that at about 250. I could have dehydrated, but I was too much of a hurry. So I baked it at about 250, and I kept checking it like every 5 minutes because I didn't want to burn the second batch. And it came out, and I just left it in the toaster oven all night off, and it came out perfect this morning. And you'll see what we're going to do with that. So we're making a pie, yes, but we could also make this into something else. So what you're going to do is you're going to take this crust and you're going to put it in the fridge or the freezer. It really doesn't matter at this point because you're going to freeze the whole thing. But I like to put it in the refrigerator while I'm preparing the filling. All right, so you see how I've flattened that in. And, oops, a little errant clump. Put that in too. It's probably the best bite of all. Wouldn't want to miss it. So now we're done with the food processor, and we move on to the blender. So now we're going to take the cashews that we soaked all night long. Okay, I soaked them overnight. And remember, our last seminar, we did cashew cream, and it's kind of the same idea. So we're taking the soaked cashews, we're putting them in here. You can use, for the strawberries, you can use fresh or frozen. I took frozen for this part because the fresh are more expensive right now and not that sweet. So for the fact that we're blending them all up, I thought I'd get the cheaper ones and maybe sweeter. Okay, so I just defrosted those. The coconut oil, it says on the recipe, it says soft but not melted. You know, if you're in a very cold environment, then you're going to have a problem. Like this is probably a little colder than it was at my house because I'm sure the air conditioning's on here. But it should be fine still. So the coconut oil, sorry, I'm behind the blender here. And then we're going to add the coconut sugar, and the salt is in here as well. And we're going to dump in the coconut sugar. Remember, the coconut sugar is better for you than processed sugar. It's still a treat. This is not like, oh good, I'm going to eat coconut sugar every day as much as I want. Not really. It's a treat, and treat it as a treat. But it's not going to affect your glycemic index. It's not going to hurt your liver like agave nectar. I think I need to take my gloves off. Too slippery. Okay, now we're going to blend this up, and we might have to shake it a couple times because I filled that pretty full. So I'm getting a couple questions in, and one of the questions was, can you use other berries than strawberries? Yes, you can. So, some people have a problem with strawberries, they're too acidic for them, and so they can eat blueberries instead. So you can make this with blueberries, you can make this with blackberries, you can make this with, how about you make it with strawberries, and then you put blueberries and strawberries on top with some whipped cream, coconut cream, and have it for 4th of July. You can really get creative with it and make it any way you like. So what we're going to do now is open this. And take a look and make sure it came out creamy like we like it. And it did. So you see how creamy it is? And we're going to put that into our crust that we had in the refrigerator or freezer, more likely the freezer. And we're going to, let me just move this out of the way. We're going to put this into the pie crust. And we're going to smooth it. Okay. And I am, just for the sake of transporting this, because it's going to be soft, I am not going to I'll put the rest in later when I am next to a freezer. Because what you're going to do next is you're going to put this in the freezer and you're going to freeze it for about 4 hours minimum. Or you can leave it in the freezer. You can make it the day before and then have it, the next day. But what you want to do is you want to take it out of the freezer at least an hour before you're going to eat it. Maybe more, depending on how cold or hot your house is. I did it for about an hour and a half, and it worked great. Also, don't put on, if you're going to put toppings like strawberries or blueberries or coconut would be okay, but if you're going to put toppings like any fruit, don't put those toppings on before you freeze it, because what's going to happen is they're going to get frozen. They're not going to taste great when you freeze the fresh straw, because you're going to put fresh strawberries on top. And they're not going to taste great when they've been frozen, and then they'll still be partially frozen, and it just doesn't work. So put the fruit on, or whatever you're topping it with, after you take it out of the freezer. And you can do it while it's defrosting, it's fine. Okay, so basically there is your pie, and you saw the picture of it finished. So this is going in the freezer, and it's going to be frozen for about 4 hours minimum. Okay? Okay. Then, so I said this was versatile. So there's some people here that are helping me with this seminar, and I knew that they wouldn't be able to eat this pie because it has to go in the freezer, and it's really goopy right now. So there's something else you can do with this recipe, is you can make a parfait. So with a parfait, and I'm going to make 3 parfaits, you're going to take some strawberries. Let me move the pie out of the way, because we're done with him right now. I feel like a shell game. Which one is it? You're going to take some strawberries, put them in the bottom. I used to love parfaits when I was a kid. My mom would make them with probably vanilla pudding, and they were delicious. But this is not just delicious, and maybe her pudding was healthy because, it was then. Put some crumble that we made last night and we didn't burn. And some, I guess I could have used the leftover that, but that's okay. We're going to put some strawberry, same stuff as what we made just now. This is exactly the same. So the filling, we made the crust the same, but we baked it. The filling, we made exactly the same, no change. Okay, I think I'll use a spoon for that. So you're just going to spoon in some filling. You're going to do this like a little lasagna. You're going to make layers of, we won't be making that many layers in these little tiny cups, but that's what you'll do in your parfait glasses at home. Whoops. Hopefully we can get 2 layers of filling. And again, these strawberries are organic, and they're pretty sweet. They're not too bad. They're better than the ones I had a week ago, so they're getting better. And then some more crumble. And you see how that crumble baked up, right? Nice and crispy. And if you make the parfaits too far in advance, I can't guarantee the crumble will stay crispy. It might get soggy. It might stay crispy. I really don't know. I haven't tried. But they're so easy. It's such an easy dessert to throw together quickly that if you just have everything made, you don't have to worry about it getting soggy. Just do it right before you serve it. Oh, and I forgot. I thought it would be nice to put some coconut in it. You guys like coconut? I can't open it. Never mind. But it would be nice also to put some coconut. And then another layer of filling. And this you don't have to freeze. This will be more like a pudding. So you can do this, you can just put it in the refrigerator. You know, you could make it like an hour before or so and just put it in the refrigerator if you want. And it'll be nice and cold. But it doesn't have to be. You could do it right away as well. And it doesn't have to be hard because it's more like a pudding. And honestly, I've never served this, so we'll see. We'll see how it comes out. But I just thought this would be a nice alternative to the pie. So where are we here? Little filling, a little crust. And also, if you wanted to, you could, like I said, you could make this into granola. And you have a healthy granola. It tastes like a cookie, really. Which, I don't know anyone who doesn't like cookies. And there's no sugar in it. I mean, there's sugar from the dates, but there's not even the coconut sugar in the granola part. A question I just got is how fattening is this compared to traditional recipes? Well, when you consider that traditional recipes are made with cream and real sugar, not real sugar, but processed sugar, I would say it's comparable. I would say it's comparable calorie-wise, but way better for you health-wise. And when we're not eating artificial ingredients and things that aren't really very good for us, we're also processing these items better. So you may have something that's the same amount of calories, but it's going to act differently in your body. So yeah, see how pretty that is? And that's how pretty your pie will be too when you put the strawberries on top. I have 2 extras. This one. That one's not so pretty. I'm going to take it out. Okay, and then if I could get the coconut open, I think it would be nice to have some coconut on top. So you could do that. Yeah, that's pretty. Okay, so there it is. So you have the pie, voila, that's in the freezer, or you can, instead you can make a parfait. And you can kind of see the layers, but it's just a pretty little dessert. And that's it. So let me see what other questions I had here. What kind of blender am I using? This is a Ninja. It's a Ninja blender. It's they don't sell this one anymore, but they do sell other ones by Ninja that are similar. It came with a food processor. It came with a full-on blender thing, and it came with 2 of these kind of jars, one this size and one a little bit smaller. So I love it, but I've had it for a while, so I don't know how much this is all cracked, I've noticed. So I'm going to be in the market soon. And then I think that was it. Do I have any other questions? So that's it. We have parfait. We have pie. That's going to be in the freezer with, and then you're going to put strawberries and a little coconut on top. You could put the whipped cream. If you can find the coconut cream, you just whip it up like cream. And that's it. So if I have any other recipes, and I do have other recipes, if I have any other questions, or if you have questions after the fact and you want to get a hold of me, you can reach me at 2life-2health@hotmail.com. Maybe we could put on the last screen. Okay, 2life-2health@hotmail.com, and my website is www.2life-2health.com. I will be posting this recipe on my website eventually, probably within a week. And like I said, if you didn't get the recipe already and you registered, you will be getting it by email, and then it also will be posted to this YouTube probably in about an hour or so. Okay? So I will see you next month with another topic. Next month we'll be talking about eating, basically eating when you're going through cancer treatment. So that, I'm sure that has been a problem for many. So that's what we'll be discussing and what we can do about it. Okay? So thank you, and I will see you next month, and I hope you enjoy the strawberry pie.